Hi, and welcome to History Makers. I'm Matt Prater. Today we're chatting with David Sams. We're here in Nashville, Tennessee, and I've just had this amazing tour of David's house. We've been Facebook friends for a while, and he was on my bucket list to interview. David's got a background in TV and does radio. He's interviewed pretty much everyone you can think of in the Christian world, and he's got a great ministry. So, David, let's find out a bit of your story. Whereabouts were you born and raised?
Columbus, Ohio.
Okay. And what was life like for you in your upbringing? What was your family like?
I come from a family of pastors. My dad's a pastor for over 60 years. And I come from a family of ministry. My dad and mom also had a Christian school and preschool for up until the last few months, actually, almost 50 years. And so, yeah, it was an amazing upbringing. I kind of equate it to sort of the Waltons, the TV show The Waltons.
Yeah.
I sort of lived that life.
Okay.
And a big Buckeye fan.
Okay.
So, go Bucks.
And did you have a born-again experience as a young fella, or did you just kind of gradually follow the Lord?
Well, I was raised in the faith, and that was fortunate in one sense. In another sense, I always cried out for, everybody seemed to have a testimony.
Yeah.
And I didn't have one. Well, sometimes you got to watch what you pray for.
Yeah.
Because you get a testimony. So, no, I've sort of been born again several times in my life. So, unfortunately, I seem to be on the other side of the good side. So, it's been a journey, that's for sure.
Okay. And tell us a bit about your early career. Like, what did you do when you finished school? Did you go to college? What did you study?
Well, I started in the media business when I was 13. I called the local newspaper and I said, I knew that football was really big in Ohio, and I would call and say, hey, what is the football game that you need covered on a Friday night, high school football games?
Yeah.
In the local newspaper, the guy would give me a list of schools, and I had a friend with a driver's license, and he would drive me around to the different schools.
Yeah.
And I'd stand in the end zone or right outside the end zone and wait for somebody to score, take a picture, and get $25.
Okay.
So, and we worked it out. So we'd go one school first quarter, one school second quarter, then jump in the car during halftime.
Yeah.
So I started my entrepreneurial life, I guess, in media at age 13. Then I moved into radio at 15. And then I started created a TV show that I sold at 17. And then by the time I was in my, about 20, I moved from the ABC to the CBS affiliate in Columbus, Ohio, and I became head of marketing. We got our programming up to #1 in the country in news. And then the phones rang off the hook, and I got a call from Hollywood from a little family company called the King family. They owned King World, and they had just acquired the rights to Wheel of Fortune.
Wow.
Which nobody wanted because it had been canceled on the network, and they got the rights for about $50,000, and they needed somebody to come out and help them, and especially in marketing. And I did. I think I was employee number 9, and the first 5 were Kings. And we launched the show, and it became #1 in 42 of 42 markets. And then the next thing you know is we became #1 across the country, and it broke all the records. And then we launched Jeopardy with Alex Trebek, and that was really successful, although it was almost canceled after the first 3 weeks, but that's a whole other story. And then 2 years later, we launched the Oprah Winfrey Show. Wow. We found Oprah in Chicago and launched her, and the rest, as they say, is history.
Wow. So you had this incredible rise, a meteoric rise in TV, working in all these brands. What about radio? Did you always have a passion for radio as well?
Well, I was in radio when I was 15 and loved it, but then I got the hunger for pictures.
Yeah.
And I moved into TV, and I didn't turn back.
Yeah.
And then what happened is that 12 years ago, I had decided to move to Nashville.
Yep.
I'd gone through a lot of personal challenges, and I had a stroke, and I decided to get out of the rat race in Hollywood. And I had made a lot of friends over the years here in Nashville because I was producing a lot of entertainment programming, licensing music. And I made a lot of friends here because I was licensing their music. And you make a lot of friends in Nashville when you give people royalty checks, okay? So I decided to move here, and I really wanted to stay in the entertainment business. And that's one reason I moved to Nashville, because it's really, in the United States, it's really Los Angeles, New York, and Nashville.
Yeah.
Okay? Yeah. For the entertainment, really. And I thought, well, Nashville's the closest thing to my hometown of Columbus, Ohio. And so I decided to move here, and I didn't really have a plan. I just thought if I didn't change my area code of 818, people would still think I lived in LA, and I'd still get hired as a producer or director because I'm in the Directors Guild. And but I moved here, and God had other plans. I had two friends that were in the radio business, in Christian radio specifically, and we had dinner one night, and they said, "Hey, you know what? We've got some challenges with some of the things we're doing, and would you help us out?" And I said, "Of course." And I said, "By the way, I own the Keep the Faith trademark because many years ago, in another life, I also had a TV infomercial company, and I did the very first contemporary Christian music infomercial, and we sold about $25 million of Christian music on mainstream TV.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Called Keep the Faith: A Quest for Love, Happiness, and Purpose. I've actually got I've actually got that infomercial on YouTube right now.
Okay,
you can watch it. And it's fun because you see all these big hits of the 80s and 90s. Yeah. And the show I got Carmen to host it.
Yeah.
And Yolanda Adams, and it aired over 16,000 times.
Yeah.
But I own the trademark, and when I came to Nashville, it was just sort of sitting there, and I said, "Look, you've got all these Christian radio connections, and I have Keep the Faith. Let's combine forces." And we did, and we got it on some major stations, and then we went from 3 hours a week to 5 hours a week. And the minute we did that, one of our big stations in Los Angeles said, "Hey, can we use this as a lead-in to Morning Drive?" And we said, "Of course." And then it exploded. And now we're on some 300 stations across the country. We control about 150,000 hours of airtime in the United States and Canada. The company is virtual. I mean, as you can see, we operate out of our homes. Which keeps we're good stewards of the resources God gives us, and we don't put a lot of money in a lot of things. We put it into the content of the show. And so you can check out the actual show. We stream some of the episodes at keepthefaith.com.
Yeah, I was searching through your YouTube channel recently, and saw all my favorite Christian artists, and even just going through the house here, I've seen photos obviously with artists like Chris Tomlin and Zach Williams.
Sure.
And I think you've had Dolly Parton on the show.
We've had Dolly. Yeah. Well, we've had Dolly. We've had Reba. We launched a country version a few months ago, and we're on some country stations now because we feel like that is a great mission field.
Yeah.
And we did a lot of research, and we've discovered about a third of the audience that listens to contemporary Christian are also country fans, and vice versa. So we decided to launch a country version, and that's been a real blessing.
Now, I also saw on the walls here some photos with some Aussies. Joel from For King and Country.
Right.
There's a whole bunch of Aussies around here that do a lot of Christian music too. What do you think about the Aussie invasion of Nashville, hey?
Oh, I love it. I love the variety, and of course, they're so very, very talented, and it's good to have a variety of artists, and it's and of course, a lot of folks that have come in from Australia, from Canada, they've just exploded on the scene. And really, it's all about the word. It's all about the message. And I just love all the artists that come over.
Very cool. And, I love, I do a show in Australia where I interview people. This is what this is for History Makers, and occasionally I'll get some feedback of someone that has maybe given the heart to the Lord, or, it's helped them in their marriage, or, some testimonies. Have you got any that you can share with us of, some lives that have been impacted through your program?
Well, I'll tell you, during the pandemic, I was single at the time, And, you know, at that point in time, they were saying, you know, you can't go anywhere. You can't go to church. You can't go to dinner with anybody. You can't go see your parents or you're going to kill them. You know, it's just, it was just, and I was in this big house all alone. I thought, oh my gosh, I'm going to go crazy. And then I started walking. I started walking two miles a day. Then I worked up to 4 miles and 5 miles and eventually 8 miles a day. Sort of like Forrest Gump, you know, you don't stop. But no, the other thing I noticed was that there are a lot of grieving people out there that were lonely, that were shut-ins, that were just a lot of mental health issues. So we started something called lovestories.com. And lovestories.com, we decided, you know what? We're going to help people find the relationship that God wants them to have. And we're also going to help marriages stay together. And so we launched that, and my gosh, we launched something called Married in 12 Months or Less. I know, it's, but the way that happened is that I had a friend, and I had also a therapist who said, look, David, you know what? First of all, at your age, you can't mess around forever, right? Second of all, you're going to know in a few months whether it's the right relationship or not. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, what does that mean? Well, and my friend said, look, cut it off if it's not there, cut it off at 12 months. I go, seriously? Yeah. She said, you should be married in 12 months or less. I go, whoa. Let's do some features on the radio about that so that people can find equally yoked mates, and let's give people tools. And we put that on the air during the pandemic. Oh my gosh. The phones lit up like it was 1950s radio. You know, you always hear about those, you know, when they put Elvis's record on, it goes crazy. But, you know, these days you just don't experience that. You know, I mean, it's not like it was back then because people have so many choices. We did that, and literally the phone lines exploded like it was 1957. And so we launched lovestories.com. We launched Married in 12 Months or Less. We launched Bride Boot Camp. And we launched Save My Marriage, and it has gone through the roof. And we have recorded last year alone over 350 marriages as a result of that extension of our ministry.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And you know, you just got to think outside the box. And the big thing is seeing and feeling the needs of people and ministering to those needs.
Yeah. And that's the good thing about Christian radio, you know. You never know who's going to tune in on the radio or find you on YouTube or your podcast or whatever, you know. And it's, you know, now that it's all digital too, it's around the world. You never know who's going to listen in around the world. So good to hear those testimonies. And, you know, we've only got a little bit of time left, but, you know, there might be people watching or listening to this that have never heard the gospel. You know, you shared about how you were raised in a Christian household and you knew the Lord at a young age. You know, if there's people listening that want to find out the good news, would you share with our listeners what is the gospel and how do they respond?
You know what? I would say, first and foremost, I believe in the power of song, and I believe in the power of message storytelling with those songs. And that's the reason that Keep the Faith is so unique. You know, there are a lot of great preachers. There's a lot of great sermons online. You know, now you can live anywhere and you can find the best in Bible teaching. But music is a universal language.
Yeah.
You know, and if you're trying to reach somebody who is on the edge, or they just don't get it, or they're like, oh man, I can't take that preaching stuff, or whatever it is, music is a great way to you know, sort of embrace somebody and pull them in, which, you know, we do, a lot of great broadcasters do. But the really cool thing that we've discovered is if you find the right story, the right testimony, the right encouraging thought, and combine that with the right, with the exact song that goes with it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. You can move mountains with people, right? And that's what we try to do with Keep the Faith. That's what makes it really, really unique, is that our staff around the country, they pour through these stories we get, like these phone calls. They will combine those stories those specific stories with the absolute right song at the right time.
Yeah.
And I'm just so grateful that God gave us that. And by the way, that's not like brain surgery.
Yeah.
Right. It does take a lot of. This is not just something you go, oh yeah, that's a good story, that's a good song, put it together. We try to weave these things together like a 3-act motion picture with a beginning, a middle, and an end. And we try to give people a good resolve where there is an answer.
Yeah.
And that answer, of course, is Christ. And at the same time, we try to give them tools.
Yeah.
Because people are searching for people. They may not know that they're searching for truth, but they know they're searching for tools.
Yeah.
And if we can give them the right tools, they'll find the truth.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, if people want to find out more about Keep the Faith, is there a website or social media? What's the best way to find all the info?
Absolutely. KeepTheFaith.com. That's pretty simple. KeepTheFaith.com is our radio show website. Then we have ContagiousInfluencers.com, which is our podcast. And there's about 180 or so interviews on there, Contagious Influencers. And then, of course, lovestories.com.
Very cool. Well, David Sams, I reckon you're a history maker. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, my friend. Thanks for stopping by the homestead.
No worries. God bless. Thank you.